In this video, I will show you how to deploy smart contracts and interact with them. We are going to deploy this smart contract. This is just an example smart contract. We just care about the function interfaces. First, we need to compile the smart contract. So let's go to the Compile tab and hit the Compile button. Next, we need to run the deployment. We go to the Deploy tab. And for this example, I will select the local development blockchain of Remix, but you can also select public networks. We click on Deploy, then we scroll down and we will see the deployed contract. To interact with the smart contract, you need to expand this box. For each public or external function, you will see a corresponding button. The orange buttons are for the non-view functions where you can send a transaction and modify the state of the blockchain. The red buttons are for the payable functions where you can send Ether. And the blue buttons are the view and the pure functions where you just read data from the blockchain. So let's do a quick demo. First, let's execute the non-view function. We need to provide an array of integer. We use a comma to separate the arguments and we wrap everything in square brackets. As a side note, this notation will also work for tuples and structs. We click on this button to execute the transaction. And after, you can see the transaction receipt in the console. Next, let's execute the payable function. We have a lot of arguments and it's not really convenient to cram everything in a small input. That's why it's better to expand the input field with this dropdown. We put all the arguments. Next, we need to specify how much Ether we want to send. Let's scroll up and here you can see the value field for Ether transfers. Let's change the unit to Ether and let's send 1 Ether. Next, we scroll down and we execute the function. Now our transaction is complete. Next, let's execute this view function. And we see the return string just below. Next, I will show you how to use the low-level interaction feature. Low-level interactions allow you to create the data field of the transaction manually and also to interact with the fallback or receive function of a smart contract. For example, let's call the receive function by sending some Ether to the smart contract. We will leave the data field empty. If you want to send some data in your transaction, you will need to build your data argument yourself and paste here, then click on transact. Next, we specify how much Ether to send. For that, we scroll up to the value field and we input the Ether value here. Before sending this transaction, be aware that you have to respect the rules about fallback and receive functions. If you don't, Remix will give you a warning. Next, we scroll down to the low-level transaction button and we click on it. And that's it, our transaction was sent. Next, I will show you how to interact with the smart contract that is already deployed. For this example, we will interact with this smart contract deployed on Sepolia. You will need the ABI or the source code with the same compiler settings. Let's copy the ABI from Etherscan. Back in Remix, let's create a new file with the extension ABI and we paste the ABI inside. Make sure this file is the active tab in the editor. Next, we need the address of the contract and we can get it from Etherscan. Back in Remix, we go to the Deploy tab, we find the AtAddress input and we paste the address inside. Next, let's make sure we are connected to the correct blockchain. Our smart contract is on Sepolia and we will connect to Sepolia using MetaMask. So in MetaMask, I already selected the Sepolia network. In Remix, in the environment dropdown, we need to select MetaMask. You should see the chain ID just below the environment select box. Then click the AtAddress button and the contract will appear in the deployed contract section. And now if you expand this box, you can interact with the smart contract as I showed you before. Remember that you need to have the ABI or the compile contract to be in the active file in the editor to use this feature. Next, I'm going to show you the pinning feature. Pinning lets you access a contract without having to remember its address or locate its ABI. In the deploy contract section, just click on the pin and the next time you connect to that network and use the same workspace, the pin contract will be present. This works for all networks, including the Remix VM. Alright, that's it for this video.